here. Make sure it's going to pick us up in three, two, one. Hey, everybody. This is Callan Hale here, your host of Retro Horror, and today we're doing a Retro Horror special interview with Alex from Bards and Brews.
Hello.
So how are you doing today, Alex?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Just got off a long shift. Enjoying being home with my dog.
I know I've now that I'm full time content creator, I don't have to worry about that too much, but I remember those days. So, how about you tell us a little bit about Bards and Brews? I know I've watched a few episodes and I'm really enjoying
Well, glad that you're having fun. Um, we are a tabletop RPG actual play. The focus isn't so much on one system, but more on variety. At the moment, we are only currently streaming 5e content. That's our homebrew game saga. Uh, but very shortly, we'll be starting with a Starfinder homebrew game that we're calling Far Horizon. And soon after that, we'll be starting Dragon Age game, a Neon Knights game, which is TTRPG.
it. Ooh,
Uh, then I have plans in the works for Fallout, Blades in the Dark, as well as other titles.
very nice. Like I said, for this interview, one thing I really did love with the first episode is how you include that content warning. 'Cause I know, like you mentioned, that we all know what happens in the real world.
Yeah,
We don't really want to just like even RPing. We don't really want to do that. I know some people are really into that, but I'm a GM like you. I just prefer. Okay, we know bad stuff happens. Let's fade to black.
yeah. That's kind of always been my take. I think especially with making the move to streaming, like when it was just my friends, it was maybe one thing to like ask, "Hey, are you okay with that?" and then maybe delve into it. But even then, I kind of had the same attitude I have now with streaming, where it's like you never know what might be upsetting to someone, and especially with some of the darker stuff that is obviously pretty much universally upsetting. There's just no need. This is a game. We're here to have fun, and last time I checked, some of the darker corners of the world aren't exactly fun. So it's enough to know that bad things happen. It's enough to even just lay out the obvious eye roll into the corner there where it's like, well, some bad guys are doing some bad things, and that's enough. You can move on, let the characters react as they would, go about your day. Um, Content warnings is a big thing. I actually kind of owe a shout out to my friend Rain and partner Bran um, for reminding me that that was not something I was doing regularly. I did a content warning in the first episode, and then we gained like 20 followers or something, I think, and I forgot to do them for the next two. And then they were like, "Hey, so we have new people watching. Probably a good idea to do this regularly." So now we're going back to I'll be doing brief content warning before every episode.
I when I streamed my actual play games, we had a screen that would come up before every game because I would forget to say it sometimes,
Yeah,
like the pre-stream screen, like content warning. This may contain sensitive subject matter, especially for like Call of Cthulhu. Um,
yes,
when we played a 5e homebrew of Fallout, it's like sensitive topics may come up during these games.
yeah, obviously, and I mean my game Saga, the one we're currently running, is a homebrew of my own design. Kind of the whole overarching theme is really not a sunshiny day type of theme. It's a little darker. There's a lot of anti-intellectualism, a lot of cult things going on, a lot of anti-magic, which we know from our own history, from our own American history, what happens when people in power become anti-intellectualism, anti-magic, things of that nature. I mean, look at the Salem witch trials. That tells you. No,
Yeah,
so like obviously there's some dark stuff that's going to happen. And while that isn't the central conceit of the game by any means, it's something that's gonna pop up early or often enough that I just don't want to subject anyone to that unbeknownst to them.
because I know a lot of people don't do that. I know a few podcasts that recently started doing that. 'Cause I helped them out with some of their social media stuff before I actually found the TTRPG community when I was just taking my break from the community. I was helping out a few podcasts with their social media stuff, and I was listening to one of the episodes. Like, you really should put a content warning at the beginning of this arc, and it during every single episode during this arc.
Yeah,
Like,
that's rough.
like why? Is like certain topics that you tackle in these episodes are not appropriate for all viewers. And I'm not going to mention the podcast by name, but because the person who was leading it refused to do that, I was actually on the podcast. We I pretty much told him, like, if you launch these episodes, I will rejoin social media just to tell people not to listen.
Yeah, it's important to just keep people's sensitivities in mind, and I mean that's probably important, but it's important to keep the fact in mind that everyone has gone through something, and you have no way of knowing what that is. So it's best just to play it safe, respect, and let people decide for themselves what they subject themselves to.
Exactly. Like there was a topic. I think we were on it. You and I were discussing it about people abusing players and not like using
Yes.
their traumas against them. Like, if somebody tells me, "Hey, this is my X card," I will never bring that thing up in a game.
Yeah. If any of I'm I'm fortunate enough that at least with my current players, I am expanding my player base. But with my current player, I've been friends with all of them for I mean, some of them I've been friends with 20 years now, but most of them I've been friends with bare minimum for at least a few years of friendship now. And so I know them pretty well, and it was a very quick thing. Just communicate of Saga and send out a quick form and be like, "Hey, just go ahead and let me know what of these things isn't cool, what is," and add a gradient to it. So hard line is it I'm okay with it to X degree thing, whatever. Um, but I mean that's like it's such a small amount of work on my end to just ask like, "Hey, what are you not cool with?" That there's really no excuse not to. And for me, the fact that I have seen so many instances of this being like taking pride in, oh yeah, I love to play mind games with players and I love to use their fears against them. It's like, man, you should probably talk to a psychiatrist because that's not all right. Like that's a severely vindictive and hurtful behavior. And like I wouldn't be your friend if you behaved that way. I wouldn't want
Look, I don't think we're gonna be friends anymore. I'm sorry.
to. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, if you're gonna use my fears and insecurities against me, hey, there's a word for that. It's a bully, it's abuser, you know?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not interested in you.
it's borderline psychopathy.
It honestly it is. It's a little leaning on the sociopath scale there. It's getting pretty close
Yeah,
to
far end.
yeah.
Like
It's very soft there for sure, but still, like,
it's
purposefully identifying people's weaknesses to utilize them against them,
that's
that's some eyebrow-raising behavior.
that's the high school bullying stuff I tend to avoid on Twitter
Yeah.
because I've seen it happen in the TTRPG community. Whenever I see it, I'm like, mm, no, I'm not engaging with this.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
Like they'll
either if it's particularly egregious, it's just a block and move on. If it's just something small, it's like, well, I don't need to interact with that anymore. That's negativity and move on. It's
I
definitely not worth the time of day.
that I saw that video that Pip mentioned a few months or last month popped up on my YouTube today under recommended videos. I'm like, how is this a recommended video on how to bully my players?
Yeah, that's absolute nonsense. That's like when you see those GMs that brag about kill counts, and it's like, why are you bragging about being bad at your job?
Yeah, like
Like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but the point of them playing is to keep them playing.
Like the tweet I made yesterday of, the worst three words you can hear as a GM is "I am bored."
Oh god, yeah. I'm bored or I
I,
mean even if you really want to go a little more hurtful on my personal spectrum, not even I am bored, but I'm I'm not having
yep.
like that specific phrase. If I ever hear that phrase, God forbid I ever hear that phrase midstream because I think I'd have to stop the stream. I'd just be like, I can't keep going. Like
I've
we
had
need to stop and talk.
I've had players leave my table, and that was just all they said was just, "I'm not having fun anymore playing tabletop RPGs." Like,
Oof.
it's nothing against you. Like, Callan, you're doing great, but I'm not having fun playing TTRPGs anymore. I was like,
At
well,
least they clarified though,
mm,
so it's not in the
it,
way that it's your fault.
it still feels like that dig though as a GM. Like, I made you not like playing this anymore.
Yeah,
And
can
one
feel that.
person, they were only playing because their boyfriend was at my table. And when he left, she was like, "I'm just not having fun. The only reason I was here is because he was here." And they broke up, so he left the table. I was like, "Oh well, that's sad."
Yeah, that sounds like their head wasn't in the right place.
Yeah. Oh, what got you into TTRPGs?
Um, I've kind of always been into RPGs. Back when I was a kid, I remember one of the kids in the neighborhood had a, I believe, 3.5 edition book. Uh, maybe two. I don't remember. It was one of the older editions of D&D, and I never got to play because I was too young, and that those were the slightly older kids in my friend group. But they would let me make characters, and I got like obsessed with it. I just it got to the point where I was going home after school and like blabbing to my mom about it, driving her nuts because she had no idea what I was talking about. And I'm just like, oh well, I want to make this dwarf who I don't know fights dragons for a living. I don't remember what my things were, but I just it captivated my mind pretty early, and then I went through school and everything, and never really got an opportunity to get back into it. Then high school comes around, and my at the time my best friend briefly uh, had a stint of playing Pathfinder, and got me into that. We played, I think, couldn't have been more than 5 sessions, but that was enough to get the itch going again. Fast forward, gosh, about 8 more years, and then someone can't even remember who at this point, but one of my friends offhand mentioned Critical Role, and I immediately got the connotation of it. It was like Critical Role. Is that like D&D? They're like, yeah, yeah, it's a group of actors. They were like, oh, you like Overwatch? Matt Mercer's actually the DM. What? Matt Mercer, McCree's the DM. So I went and checked it out, kind of very naively expecting McCree as the DM. Like I was like, is what is he? Is this like a gimmick? Is this like a or something? And I went into campaign one, Vox Machina, and just next thing I know, I had a podcast app downloaded on my phone. I was at the time I was taking my dog Isabel on 4 or 5 mile walks, and I would just spend the whole walk with headphones, listening to episodes of Critical Role. And I got one of my best friends into it, then another, and eventually said best friend showed up with a Dungeon Master's guide and said, "Get to work," and I did. I've been playing frequently and regularly for about 2 years now, but off and on pretty much my whole life.
Nice. Like, I personally couldn't get in the Critical Role because I at the time when I was in the back in when I was first joining the TTRPG community. This was 2011, when I was running my streams, to 2018 when I retired. They had a kind of a toxic community that I know
Yeah,
Mercer and the others were telling, like, they would tell the community, "Hey, knock it off," but no one was listening to the people who they claim to be fans of. Like, come on, when the guy who is, you're all like fanning over, says, "Knock it off and be decent to one another," and you can't do that.
Mercer's like the nicest guy too, and when you have a sweet man like Matt Mercer telling you you're being a dick, it's probably time to reevaluate.
Yeah, I actually got to meet him once at PAX Unplugged one year. Really cool
Really?
guy.
Yeah, I have one cute little story actually. Back when I first started watching Critical Role, I was in a pretty bad mental health place, just really struggling with depression, working anywhere from 70 to 80 hours a week as a chef, and I was overworked, exhausted, and just not doing well. And Critical Role was kind of the only thing I was really engaging with outside of work. And I just randomly tweeted on my personal, I think I had 20 followers at the time, randomly posted and tagged him in the post, just kind of saying that, going through my depression, Critical Role was something to latch on to. It really kept me happy, kept me feeling like I was friends on this crazy adventure, something that was keeping me engaged. And Matt actually took the time to respond to the message or to the post, um, just emphasizing that I was valued and this was this whole reason that he did this is so he could engage with, build these stories for me to relate to. And I had like literally I think 20, 24 followers, and just seeing Matt Mercer himself comment on my post and then getting like absolutely rated with likes and retweets and comments all telling me that I was part of a big community. It just really meant a lot.
The the community is a lot different than it used to be. I will say that it's a lot kinder. I remember back in the early days, it was not as kind, but now it's we have a great community now that we didn't have before. Before it was very divided between because now homebrew's more accepted. There was people like me who were playing for a while, the grogs, and then there were the newer players who hated us because we were playing for a while.
Yeah.
So
I
it was
think I mean, I think we sort of still, as much as I hate to say it, I think that the TTRPG space in general is still pretty divisive. I think the
yeah.
problem with passion of that degree is that it has a tendency to manifest in the form of jealousy. And I frankly I think that's kind of what it is. It's like some of these older heads, and it's not all the old, so I'm not going to attack completely, but like some of these people have this mindset that this is their thing, this is their hobby, it's their game, and if it's not done their way and their liking, it shouldn't be done.
Oh yeah, like the current thing going on where people are arguing over if you should adjust the monster's health or not, and
Oh yeah,
why are
that's
we arguing over this? I know the
I've seen
answer.
some truly truly absurd takes on
As long as it's cool
it's
with your party and
yep,
you're all having fun, it doesn't matter.
yeah. Look around your table. If everyone's smiling, you're doing fine.
I once ran a one shot on a stream where I did not tell anyone the monster's health at all.
Yep.
I had it was for a charity stream. People paid and they could whisper me how many hits it would take to kill the monster. So, and what they didn't know is like what the audience knew, what the players didn't, because we told the audience beforehand before we brought the players into the game. For every dollar they spent, that's how many hits it would take to kill the monster.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. I like
So
that.
we had someone drop $100 for a charity stream we were doing, and it's like, and then they whispered to me, it's like I don't want that. We would let them say like, okay, I want to spread this across X number of monsters. Like I don't want this to be like 100 hit monster, but could you throw like 250 hit monsters at them? Sure.
Yeah, why not?
And they were going through this cavern, and I was like, you're faced with a basilisk in front of you and an ogre behind you. Roll initiative.
Oof. Oof. That's nasty. That's so nasty.
The players they just lost it because they saw the donation. It was apparently the one player's dad.
Oh,
And
that's some dirty cheat, man. That's messed up. That's setting you up for failure.
She's like, hold on, I'll be right back. And just whips out a Nerf gun and cocks it.
I have to do what must be done.
Like, I'm soon going to be an orphan. I'll be back. What was
You know
great
what?
is
Fair,
on camera,
fair.
her dad comes in with a one of those Nerf machine guns. It
Oh
just starts
man,
pelting the back of her chair with it.
that's the one that the rich kid in the neighborhood had and always used against everyone once he started losing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was a great stream. I want to do stuff like that again eventually.
Yeah, that's very, very fun. That's kind of what I want to start doing with this platform too. It's just more like community engagement.
It's I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's about you gotta have the followers, you gotta have this and this. Like when I started streaming for about 3 years, I didn't have any more than maybe 8 people tuning into one of my streams.
Yeah, I mean, I think I average anywhere from 12 to 15 tops, and I mean, that's still if you put that into perspective and think about 12 to 15 people sitting in your house watching you play D&D, that feels like a lot.
Yeah,
But it's not much in the grand scheme of it. It's I try not to worry too much about the follower thing, too more about the caliber of people.
yeah. Like I love all the people who follow me. Like everybody who follows me and I follow, like, they're all great people because I get to know them. I try to engage with
Yeah,
everybody I can every day when I have
yeah,
enough energy to do that. But I'm like certain people, like I'm more focused on the follower count. Me, I'd rather have quality over quantity.
yeah.
I'd
I
rather
agree.
have like uh, Uncle Penguin and Hope for TTRPG crew. They're all great people.
Yeah, there's a
But
lot of fun.
then like certain people from my past, I would not want following me on Twitter now because they're very toxic. So first thing I did when I joined back to Twitter is block, 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 block.
That block button would be there. I swear.
Because they have a toxic ideology about them of if you don't they're the people if you don't do it my way you're doing it wrong. Like no.
Right. Right. I'm not a fan of that at my table. I really, I actually said this earlier today, and I've said it a couple of times in my social presence. Um, as far as like all the rules heavy arguments go, and the is there a right way or a wrong way goes, my stance can be summed up with one statement: you can't break my game. Only I can do it. So the way
Exactly.
I see it is do whatever you want. Like, I mean, obviously we have established norms within our games, but like if it's fun, if it's something you want, if it's fun, go for it. I don't care. I don't care how you run your character. I don't care how you handle your monster stats. I mean, hell, I can say something that'll probably irritate the crud out of a lot of old GMs or TTRPG heads. I have literally never once in the entire history of me playing TTRPGs run a monster as written.
I did once, but I was a first time GM and I was 8. So
I always make that statement, and it's because it's just numbers, it doesn't matter. Like
like
it
okay,
dies, it dies when I realize they're not having fun.
yeah, that like my dad came by and watched us play and he took me aside. He's like, "Hey, like son, your friends aren't having fun. So here's what I want you to do." And I was a short kid at the time. He knelt down. He's like, "I want you to take this book." He took the monster manual. He's like, "I want you to just flip to a random page." Okay. And I pulled up I think it was a Polywog in 2E. He's like, and I want you to throw this at him. And I want you to decide when it dies. Just watch their faces. And they were having a lot of fun, but they were nowhere near killing it. And one of them rolled a nat 20, and I was like, "You get a critical hit, and tell me how you kill it."
That's the way, though, man. That's the way.
Just it was like that moment of it clicked, but also it took me years to learn other tricks of being a GM. And I've learned that from watching other GMs, listening to other GMs, watching other games that I can introduce maybe some of that play style into my own play. every time I listen to someone like these interviews, I learn so much about different play styles. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like being a GM is 90% storyteller, and the truth about storytelling is it's a collaborative art. You know, it's something that is built up over generations, built up over different perspectives, over different telling. And I definitely take something from every GM I watch. I definitely take something from the player that I watch because that's the way that you tell a story. You learn a new perspective, you implement it. That's how you get something interesting. So I mean, I think it's I can't remember which account it was I saw about this. Someone tweeted recently talking about how like system doesn't really matter too much. What matters is your style. What matters is how you and your table one another. I very much vibe with that.
exactly. And because I promised two of my buddies I would ask this. Your opinion on pineapple on pizza?
My opinion, pineapple on pizza is that I absolutely love pineapple on pizza.
Like, I'm the best pineapple pizza I ever had was they grilled the pineapples
Ooh,
and then because they would half bake the pizza, pull it out, put the grilled pineapples on, and then cheese over top, and then shove it back in the finish.
yeah, that
So
sounds
good.
pretty good. I'm a big fan of pineapples on pizza, man. I think sweet and savory is a great combo, and I think anyone who doesn't agree with that just doesn't have refined taste buds. Sorry.
My one player hates it. A group I've been playing with since I was a kid. We're in a play by post together, and the one guy when he heard that question on the last few interviews, he's like, "What is wrong with you?" He's
It's
a
delicious.
he's a 4 star works at a 4 star restaurant. He's a chef, and I was like, "We serve this." And
It's delicious.
I was like, "Have you ever tried it?" It's like it doesn't appeal to me. I was like, "Try it once.
Yeah.
Don't
He's
knock it
missing
to
out.
try it."
He's missing out. I was a chef. I was a chef for a number of years. Worked at a country club. I worked for a ramen bar, and I'll tell you what, man, sweet and savory goes together.
It really does, especially if you get that right, perfect mix.
Very much so. I'm a big fan. I actually accidentally got pineapple and pepperoni pizza once,
Oh, that's my favorite
and that
kind.
combination of like the savory and the spicy and the sweet was just it was like god tier. Man. It was so good. Put a little bit of spicy honey on that. Done.
Mm.
That's all.
I actually went to a wing place once where I had to sign a waiver because these wings were supposed to be like the hottest wings in the world they could make.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they were made with scorpion peppers, ghost peppers, Carolina Reapers, and chocolate peppers.
Oh no, thanks.
But the guy also made it with cocoa powder.
Yeah, I
So
can see that.
it had a pineapple honey glaze. I I had a religious experience. You could hear angels sing. The chef came out to check if I was okay because I was just sitting there for a minute, just just wing in my hand. And my friend who was with me is like, he's having a religious experience. I looked at him like, can I hug you?
That sounds incredible, though. I mean, but historically, like chilies and cocoa go pretty well together. You ever had like chili chocolate?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's good. It's delicious.
but that what really made it, I think, was the pineapple glaze. Gave
Yeah,
it that perfect sweetness to kill, like, didn't kill the heat. The heat was still there, but it tempered it enough so you could get all the flavors. I was like, this is just amazing.
that sounds pretty bomb. I'm a big fan of any sort of like sweet style glaze on me. Anything like that.
So if you could play any TTRPG right now, what would you play aside from D&D?
Oh man, that's actually a tough question. I've got like six TTRPGs I want to play right now. The easy answer would be the one that's most prevalent on my mind right now, and that would be Starfinder. Um, I'm currently doing my second read through of the core rulebook, so I can kind of get it ironed out before it starts in October. Um, and I just adore the system. It looks really, really fun. I very much want to build a Vesk character in Starfinder. They seem so cool. Love them. Um, but my more interesting answer would probably be Blades in the Dark.
Mhm. But I've played both. Both are really good games.
Yeah, I've never played Blades in the Dark. I haven't run it yet either. I want to both. I There's just something about that kind of that Dishonored vibe that I don't even know what to call that. I guess biopunk almost.
It's like a
It's
mix
tough.
of diesel punk, biopunk, and like steampunkish.
Yeah,
It mixes all the
whatever
punk
you want to
styles
call it.
together.
That like dark techno witchcraft style is just so cool, and it's just so. I really I already have like 9 characters that I think perfect
It
fits.
it's better than Shadowrun in my opinion. And I love
Yeah,
Shadowrun.
I'm with
Uh,
you on that one.
Crystal Wizard on Twitter plays in the dark game.
Yeah, I'm very jealous because I mean I actually have a DM friend who wants to run a Blades in the Dark game, but much like myself, I mean I'm already running five or about to be running 5 games. It's like when do you make time for this?
That's my problem with scheduling stuff for spooky month coming up. It's gonna be spooky season. I'm trying to get schedules aligned for streams as well as my first roundtable with a group of GMs, and it's like schedules do not line up.
Roundtable sounds so fun though. That's gonna
Well,
be awesome.
they really are. The last one, almost had one when I had Blair on, which is why I started doing one-on-one interviews. But the other two people, the one person's kid got sick, and the other person got called into work.
Oh no.
Like at the last minute, we're getting prepped, and they just DM me.
Oh,
Like, I hope the kiddo's okay.
life
Uh,
happens, unfortunately.
I won't mention their names or anything, but the guy told me that his kid that ate like, a pound of baker's chocolate.
Oh,
The
oh no.
so and he's like, so we found that out that the like my son knows how to open the cabinet and climb up there. Like, oh no,
That is a hard lesson learned, young child.
their kid knows how to pop the um, child safety locks.
Yeah, that's oh,
Like,
a
oh,
pound. How did he get through it? That's crazy.
like okay, kids are a lot smarter than we used to be when we were growing up because we would have never figured out how to do that.
No, I wouldn't have bothered. I'd be like, that's too much work.
Yeah,
I'll move
like
on to something.
like pull, not opening. All right, but
It's nuts.
I'm hoping the next round table I try getting together, I can get everybody in one time, everybody on at the same time, so we can stream it, get some questions from the audience, kind of like Luna did for
Yeah,
Tales from the Tavern.
I just did one with Luna actually. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a good time,
Yeah,
especially if you can get that engagement there, those questions and everything, interact with chat a little bit. I think that's gonna be really, really
somebody asked, "What would you like to?" When I was on with Luna, so I was like, "What would you like to do in TTRPGs?" And I just like I paused and I was like, everybody else was like answering what they'd like to do, and one of the other guys was like, "We've been playing for so long. I want to see what my players do."
yeah,
Like
yeah. I want to play.
somebody's like, "Well, have you killed a god, became a god, played a ghost?" It's like, yes, 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 yes. Haven't done that one yet. It's like, have you uh, resurrected a god? It's like, haven't done that one yet. But I've killed a god, played a god. I mean, I think it was Abyssal Brews who asked the what would you rate your what like other than DN, other than CR, what would your rating system be? And I said I'd make it the MPAA ratings, like the G through NC-17.
Yeah, I like that.
And then I was like, well, he's like, well, what monster would you consider an NC-17 monster? Is like an armored, chromatic Tarask, like, or the um chromatic Draco, ancient Draco Lich that belongs to the BBEG, and the Tarask is actually their pet. You're like, all right, that's like NC-21. Like,
That's pretty life altering too.
like that was made for my overpowered campaign. The players survived it. Granted, that campaign they were also level 20 twice.
Oh yeah, I've always wanted to at least hit level 20. I know there's not much point in it in 5e, but I've always wanted to have my players like get into those upper echelons of power and
Well,
hit that demigod status.
that's where homebrew comes in. So
Yeah.
one of the supplements I'm working on is uh, taking all the old 2E and 3E uh, prestige classes and putting them as level 20 classes. So you can keep having fun. So it's not just, oh, you're level 20, the game's over. Why does it
Yeah.
have to be?
That is kind of how it goes too. It's like, well, there's nothing else I can do for you once you hit level 20. So like, you kind of got to stop playing.
No, what I started doing in my home games, like you're level 20, great, pick a new class. You still have your level 20 skills and everything and your stats, but now you're level 20/1 in another class. So now your experience is going to this new class, so you can learn all new skills.
That's a good way of doing it. I like that.
So they're fighting monsters that are fit for level 20, but they don't have the skills yet of their new level 1 class. It expands it a bit for them.
Yeah, I really like that actually.
I'm surprised that not more people do that.
Well, I think
Maybe
Todd Kenrick at one point uh said he commented. I can't remember his character's name. And I'm feeling really dumb now because it literally just slipped my mind. But he has a character that he's been running for a very very long time, and someone asked like, "Well, how is this character playing in a level 1 campaign?" He's like, "Simple. He forgot how to do the other stuff, so now I had to start over." I was like, "That's so cool. You have this like level 20 wizard who just decided I don't want to be a wizard anymore. I want to learn how to kill people with knives." So he just starts learning how to be a rogue.
that's what
Like,
I love about tabletop RPGs. You can do that.
yeah, you absolutely can. You
It,
can 100% do that.
it's not like MMOs where it's like, oh, I have to make a new character and I have to go through all the rigmarole again, and you just like, I want to try something new.
Let's get weird with it.
That was actually the theme of one of my games I ran. Like, this is just gonna be weird, guys. And one of my
Yeah.
friends who was playing with me was like, "How weird are we talking?" He's like, "Are we talking hentai weird, or are we talking Cthulhu weird?" And his girlfriend who was playing with us was like, "I don't think there's a difference there."
Yeah, valid.
I
Those are
just,
both pretty they can get pretty weird.
I just, we were getting ready to stream the game. I was like, both of you need to stop reading Chuck Tingle right now. Like, at least before the games. We ended up having a great one shot session. It was just off the wall weird. It was based in uh, it was called Malice in Wonderland,
Yeah.
where they went to Wonderland, but Wonderland was just kind of topsy turvy, and the Queen of Hearts was the good guy, and the caterpillar trapped people in a pocket dimension, and the Mad Hatter was actually very sane.
I
And
like turning tropes on that.
I didn't tell any of them beforehand what they would be walking into. They had fun. I had fun. The last time we actually got to play really together, because then life got busy for all of us.
I think working through the schedules with multiple adults is definitely the hardest part of the any TTRPG, I should say.
That's becoming like the hardest thing is schedules.
It really is.
It's like that
I think
meme.
that's a skill in of itself.
That was that meme of Genie. I wish I could get my D&D party together on a steady schedule. Okay, there are four rules.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, man. I mean, I have five players that I typically go through, six, seven tops. Yeah, seven we'll say for the full group. And I mean, that's seven full grown and responsible adults that you need to work around, you know? Like it's not easy, man. We all have a life. We all have things that we have to do, and God knows, I mean, I work almost 50 hours a week, and some of my friends are doing a pretty similar grind. It's like when you get time, you use it.
Yeah, and it's rough because you never know when you're gonna have that time, and you gotta make sure you take time to self care, recover,
Yeah, true. Can't burn out.
and that's why I went from 18 videos a week to 7.
Yeah, that's a much healthier, I'd say.
Because when I was doing 18 videos a week, it's like I was like I can do this, but I burnt out.
Yeah, and that's it's really important too that I think uh, this newer group of like the people in our TTRPG family, as we like the hashtag. I think most of the people we engage with regularly, luckily, take burnout very seriously
They
because it's a
do.
very serious problem. You know, I mean, burnout is why I'm not a chef. I had a literal, complete physical and mental breakdown because of burnout, and I think if I'm being honest, it took me almost 2 full years to recover from that to get back to being a functioning human. Burnout's a really, really big deal. Even though this is something fun, so you might think, "Oh, I can do this forever." There's no such thing as burnout. That is absolutely not the case. I've had weeks where I've messaged the people I play with and just be like, "Hey, your weekend's free. I can't do this week. I need to take a break. I need to have some self care time."
Yeah, that is how I feel on a lot of it. Like I know Saul is really big on that. Like take care of yourself. Don't burn out. And then me trying to do design work, do tabletop creation, record videos, hype people. I burned out hard, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna take some time, recover. When I was uh, when I was running my old stream, my old crew, I was working a 50-hour a week job, and I was doing 30 hours of content creation a week. I burned
Yeah,
out
that's
super hard. Out,
that's too much.
ended up having a heart attack, and then I was like,
Jesus,
okay, mental breakdown, heart attack. I had a heart attack in the middle of a game. Thankfully, one of my players' girlfriends who was watching was like, hey, someone should call 911 for Callan. He's having a heart attack. It's like, no, I'm not. It's like, check your
that's
pulse. Like, huh, my heart rate's really high.
my
I,
chest hurts. My heart rate's high. What does that mean?
I was like, I just thought it was heartburn or something. I was like, I'll be back, guys. I'm going to drive myself to the hospital. What? Yeah, it's not too far away. It's like 15 minutes. Me
I'm
being me, walked into the hospital. Hi, how can we help you? I'm having a heart attack.
I'm there with you on that though. I mean I know my partner this drives Brand crazy, but I'm also very stubborn about stuff like that, where it's like, I like to think I can handle maybe a little bit more than I. I'm getting better about it. I'm getting much better about like setting aside time for myself, setting aside space. But I mean, even within the last couple, I've driven myself to some pretty far extremes just because I was too stubborn to acknowledge that, hey, it's okay to be tired, man. It's okay to be worn out. It's okay to just stop for a little while. Um,
It is.
it's important to as well. I mean, I called out of work a couple weeks back, not a couple weeks, 2 weeks, something like that. I called out a week work not too long ago, and I was literally talking to my partner. I was just like, I just can't do it. I don't have the fortitude today. I don't have the I can't go in. I don't have a good reason. And my partner was just like, that is a good reason. I was
Mm.
like, you're right. That is a good reason. So I took a sick day. I called out of work and we sat at home, played video games, and cuddled my dog and ate good food. And that was the day.
Now, there are days where I can't do content creation. So I'm just not feeling it. Like
Yeah.
it's not even missing motivation. It's just my body is like, so I'm disabled content creator slash gamer. My body is like, nope.
And you gotta listen to that too. You know?
I, I will advocate that to anybody. If your body is telling you something, listen,
Yep. Very much.
because it could be easy to say, "Well, I'm just going to muscle through it." But how many? I mean, Alex, how many times have we seen friends of ours in the community say, "I muscled through it, and now I'm exhausted. I can't do anything."
Yeah. Or even worse. I mean, the problem the real problem with burnout, other than the obvious like mental and physical toll it takes on you though, is I will never set foot in a professional kitchen. I will never do it. And that was a passion. That was something that drove me for so long. I'll never do it ever. Imagine that for TTRPG. Imagine that for something that brings you happiness, joy, and you burn out, and now you never want to look at it again. You don't want anything to do with it.
That's
You've robbed yourself of that.
that's happened to me. That's why for years I'd run a game for my friends just because we were playing for years together. But otherwise, I just didn't touch it. I didn't make anything. I had a 3D printer that I used to print stuff on. I was making dice and stuff for people. I didn't look at my workshop for the longest time. I could not stand to step foot in my recording studio.
Yeah,
I made this beautiful recording studio with a green screen, backlights, and everything. And I would look at it and I would get angry.
yeah, totally understand.
And then I went to therapy, and my therapist was like, "You burned out." Like, huh? Like, how did I
Ruins
burn
things.
out doing something I love doing? Because you did it
That's
too
why you
long.
burned out.
Like, you didn't take time. You just kept going and going and going. Like, you're not the Energizer Bunny, no matter what you think.
Yeah, Soul in particular that you mentioned is actually a phenomenal voice against overwork and burnout in our space. Because, like you said, I mean, it's too easy to be like, well, how could I possibly burn out? It's something I enjoy. Like, well, that's why you can burn out because it's something you enjoy. So you're gonna keep doing it even when your body and mind are stop.
Yeah, and it's sad, but true. It's it's that it's. I notice it's people younger than us though who are suffering it because we grew up playing video games
Yeah,
where we you grind. So we got that quote unquote grind culture. But like the folks who are like, I'm 33, Gemma's 28, and we have a friend who's uh 25, I think she is, but she's very much grind culture. I have to keep going, 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 going. I can't stop. I can't stop. And like, you're gonna burn out.
yeah, you got to set those limits on yourself. You need to learn respect.
Because I mean, I grew up in the we grew up grinding But now everybody thinks we have to be a part of that grind culture. It's like, no, if I need a break, I'm taking one.
Yeah, that's mostly where my head's at too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still very much a workaholic. I very much love putting my nose to the grindstone, but I've learned now eventually have to identify that it's time to say I need a break.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I love what I'm doing. I love content creation, but I'm not gonna let myself get where I was 4 years ago when I had to stop.
Yeah.
Like when I feel myself getting there, even when I record, because I'll do 2 to 3 recordings a day, so I can get a backlog going. After a recording, I take 20 minutes. I go outside. I just take time for me. Come back in, record another episode. 20 minutes. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. It just depends on how I'm feeling. Like today, I recorded 2 episodes of Fatal Frame. First episode was like 38 minutes long, and I was like, then I realized it didn't record any of my audio.
Oh no.
And I was like, I just beat all these bosses. Like I speed ran it.
Oh no. That's awful.
I was like, okay, so that that's disappointing. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna take a break, take 5-10 minutes, and then we're gonna come back to it. And that's what I did.
That's the right way to do it, man. That's the right way. You gotta know. You have to know when it's time to just be like, all right, well, I need at least a 15-minute here.
Exactly. It looks like we are about at time here. So, is there anything you'd like to plug, my friend, before you wrap
at the
up?
moment, at the moment, just want to plug my stream. Um, we stream pretty regularly now. At this point, it'll be starting in October. It'll be every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern over on our Twitch, Bards and Brews. Um, I very shortly, coming in mid October, I believe, will be launching Patreon. Not totally ready yet to divulge all the information, but I will be posting a little bit of a teaser about that later today. Um, but yeah, man, just come watch us play. Come engage with us on Twitter. I love making new friends. I love learning new systems and learning new things. It's kind of what this is all about.
All right, and as always, you guys know where to find me. You can find Bards and Brews. You'll see there in the title, little title icon on the screen there at Bards and Brews. Go check them out. Thank you everybody for tuning in and listening to us banter. As always, I've been your host, Callan Hale. This has been my wonderful co-host, Alex, and I will see everybody tomorrow in the next episode. Actually, I'll see everybody in a few hours actually for the stream tonight. Now let me get this